Hi, and welcome back to the Ginger and Honey podcast. It's your girl, Nick Valentine.
And it's your girl, the Lioness. Sometimes I'm Ginger.
Sometimes I'm Honey, but depending on the day,
it can go either way.
Yes. So thank you. We're so glad to have you back with us for this episode. And today is a very special episode because we have our first guest here with us. And they are special guests to us. And they are here to share their love story, love after loss, and all the challenges and rewards of finding new love. So without further ado, our guests today are my best friend, Jamila, and her husband, Isaac, my brother, Washington. And we thank y'all so much for joining us today to tell your love story.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us here.
Yes. Yeah, we're excited.
So excited.
Yeah.
We've been waiting.
Yeah.
So today they're going to talk about sharing their background with them, telling a little bit about themselves first. So Jamila, you want to just share who you are, your story in your first relationship, career, family. Just give us a little background of you.
My name is Jamila. I am 22 my age, 52, almost 52.
If you want to share.
I have 3 children from North Carolina. I've been in Atlanta for about 32 years. And I was previously married. And Isaac is my second husband. And I have 2 girls and 1 boy. And I'm a hairstylist here in Atlanta.
All right. My name is Isaac Washington. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. I've been in Atlanta for 36 years. Previously, I was married to my high school sweetheart. We were together for 25 years, married 19. In my first marriage, we had a daughter. As Jamila indicated, we have a total of 3 kids. And so professionally, I'm a banker, been a commercial banker for over 30 years. And that's about it.
And you're married to me now.
Yeah.
And that's about it. That's about our story. But we also are over a marriage ministry. We didn't talk about that.
Correct. For the previous 3 years, Jamila and I lead the marriage ministry at Providence Missionary Baptist Church. There we have very frank and candid discussions as it relates to love, the covenant relationship between couples.
An everyday marriage.
And everyday.
Yeah.
So we meet every Sunday between the hours of 8:30 and I say until because our pastor has really given us the liberty to continue throughout service. So many times our sessions go from 8:30 to 11:30 until the end of service. Those who want to depart for church service at 10 a.m. are free and have the liberty to do so. But many times the discussions are so fruitful and relevant. We like to think that our marriage ministry is like marriage maintenance. One of the things that I would say, I don't know if it's a fair indictment of the church, but the church does, in global sense, when I speak of the church does a great job in terms of either offering premarital counseling or allowing one to have the ceremony at a church. However, after one gets married or a couple gets married, you're set out into life. And so after the wedding or the nuptials,
come to us.
Well, yes, we would like for you to come to us. But I think so many times people go off into life and now they experience the realness of 2 becoming 1, how to deal with the pressures of coming together as 1, how to deal with the pressures of your careers, how to deal with the pressures of raising families.
Mhm.
If you have a situation where you're blending families, how do you have that support? And as my wife indicated regarding the marriage ministry that we lead at Providence, to me, the biggest benefit from my perspective is not just the community of, believers and couples that come together, but most notably, my perspective again is really men being in the same space and room and being vulnerable.
Yeah.
A lot of times, female, you
We
have
talk
your
all
girlfriends
the
that are
time.
able to talk and kind of share your feelings, your hurts or vulnerabilities, but brothers are not necessarily picking up the phone and saying,
Right.
hey, John, I'm hurting today. I'm
Right.
going through.
And we talked about that, like men aren't raised typically to show emotion.
Yeah.
So you get in relationships.
Exactly. And I think that stemmed from typically one's childhood, because I know coming up as a child, it was told to suck it up.
Right.
You better not cry. You better not, really, I don't want to say it's whining, but you can't necessarily express how you feel.
Right. So you guys are more than qualified to talk about marriage. Isaac, you briefly touched on, in going back to your first marriage, that you were high school sweethearts and together for a very long time.
Right.
And so if you want to share a little bit about how you got to where you are now, but not the complete journey, but just how that marriage kind of concluded.
Wow. Well, I met Lisa, is her name, Lisa Washington, Woods Washington, at the age of 14.
Wow.
We began our courtship at the age of 17. We reconnected and started dating from our senior high school all throughout college. Ironically, I came to Atlanta to attend school, and Lisa ended up going to Howard University.
HU.
It's a fascinating story, but I will not belabor the point. So anyway, after we graduated from high school, we were in two different cities. And so after my first year of college here in Atlanta, I received a co-op where I went to DC, ironically, and worked for 3 years. So we were able to continue our relationship and courtship all throughout college. After graduating from college, we were engaged. I got married very young at the age of 20, just turned 23. And so for 19 years, we were wed, we were best friends. As I mentioned, we had a daughter together. And in 2012, she unexpectedly passed from a routine medical procedure. And so I will let Jamila comment on her relationship and then kind of segue how that led Jamila and I to be together as one.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Jamila.
So I was married to Thomas Long. His nickname is Pookie. And we met in Greensboro, North Carolina, when I was in cosmetology school. And I moved to Atlanta. We kind of broke up. I guess we were just a little bit dating, but we broke up, and I came to Atlanta with my son's father. And Thomas came here. He moved back here after going to school in North Carolina. And we reconnected, but just stayed friends. And we stayed friends for a few years, and we're kind of like best girl and guy friends. And then one day he got shot. And when he got shot, me and my friends just kind of took care of him. And so while we were taking care of him, I guess he started liking me. And I was like, wait, no, we're not supposed to like each other. We're friends.
Platonic friends.
We're friends. And then
Crossing the line.
the more we started talking, I decided I liked him back at some point. And we were together from 1997 until he passed away. And we were not married. We were together for 4 years before we got married. And then we had Mai. And so we already had a son, and then we had an addition to our family. And 7 years later, after we had Mai, he passed away. Wow. So we were Isaac and I were brought together because Jan, the daughter that Isaac brought into the relationship, and Mai were dancing at a dance school together. And they were dancing together Mai came when she was 6. Not sure when Jan got to the school.
Jan was there 2 years apart.
Okay. And they became friends. And when they became friends, they had this friendship for years. And Isaac and I did not know each other. I knew his wife because usually the mother deals with the mother.
Right.
Usually deal with the
coordinate the play dates.
So they were friends, and we both I guess the girls were really stuck together because of the loss. I was there when Jan lost her mother, and it just connected them.
So at that point, Mai had already lost her dad.
Right. Her dad had been passed away for like 2 or 3 years.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so I guess Isaac and I really started talking just because of our spouses being gone, and just what was trying to tell him he wanted to, I know.
That's interesting.
I took our kid to Nikki's house.
Right, it was Sky. It was having a birthday party.
And I went out with Isaac because he wanted to speak with everybody who had lost a spouse. And I was the last person.
Yeah. That year, ironically, 5 people I knew had lost spouses. My neighbor across the street.
Dance teacher.
Yes, the dance teacher where kids dance, our daughters dance, co-worker, another neighbor around the corner, and then someone I work out with at the gym. And so, I would say in terms of context, my wife hates when I say this. Lisa died in December of 2012 because of the bond or relationship between Mai and Jandalyn. Mai has really been with me ever since Lisa's funeral. And so that has allowed us to get to know each other and forge a relationship, and consequently, end up falling in love with each other and getting married. But what I was going to say is when Lisa passed, the 2 girls were tethered by each other's side. And they start calling each other sisters. This was just something organic. Nothing that we pushed upon them, and nothing that we really encouraged, because as Jamila indicated, Jamila knew of Lisa and had her own negative impressions of me without getting a chance to know me.
We'll get into that.
But the girls sincerely had this commonality that was unfortunate, and to see the love and bond between the 2 of them was something that we just refused to separate them.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's such a, what I call the love story, because in the untimely, loss of your spouses, you 2 were still able to find love, and in a natural, unintentional way, through the bond. Yeah, we say that. It was the divine connection, and how the girls brought you together. Yes.
Amazing. That's why y'all are favorite love story, right?
Yes. Yeah. So now we talked about your first date, or approaching the first date, and you're finding love. But before that, it was, I'm sure, a grieving period. So what did that look like for each of you, and how did you cope, with your own grief, your children?
That was tough. That was tough. I had a 7.5-year-old that had just lost her dad, and it was tough.
Mm-hmm.
It was tough. I did a lot of crying by myself when the kids went to sleep.
Did you feel you had to be strong in front of them?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But sometimes I just couldn't.
Yeah.
You know? Sometimes you just can't.
Yeah.
And I could always feel my son looking at me like,
"Is she okay?"
But you know, it was just a part of it. But yeah, it was rough. It was rough, and it was rough for a while.
Yeah.
But I think I do always say kids help you get through it because you got to. You got to get up every day. You got to still make breakfast. You got to take kids to school. So I think that keeps you from just sitting in the closet feeling bad for yourself.
Yeah.
So, but and I think I felt very married. I always say that I felt very married for a long time. Like I didn't feel like because when the spouse passes away, they pass away while you're still married to them. So
and in love, right. The
so
feelings didn't go away.
Right. So the feelings don't just go away. So for a long time, I was kind of like ashamed to like somebody or date or, you know, it just felt weird.
Yeah.
It felt weird.
I remember a little bit of that process. Yeah.
Weird. So I didn't have a boyfriend until I met Isaac. So I just was kind of in these streets.
In these streets. Lord. And I think I may have expressed it to you, but I remember, you know, because I've been single for a long time, you know, dating occasionally. But I was used to being in this single life dating game in these streets. And I was always the third wheel, you know, with you and Pookie. And I remember once he passed and we would go out together and out meeting people. And I would, like, my heart would hurt for you, you know, because like, damn, I have to be out here doing this foolishness. But my girl, you know, out here with me, she don't want to be, you know, it's just the situation that brought you there. But I always, you know, would pray and hope that you found somebody to love you.
Yeah, it was tough. And I don't know that I at that point if I even thought about like being married again. It just kind of dealing with every day to
figuring
day.
It out.
Yeah. So mine took a little while. And even meeting people, I still grieve. You know what I mean? Because I think people think once you start meeting people and going out, like, especially for women, I think it's hard for us because just the world is a little harder on us. She must not have loved him, or, you know, she's out dating somebody else. She must have been over him, you know. And they don't do that to men.
Define what
they don't do that to men at all. They do what they do
because it's expected, right?
What they do to men is tell them to go find somebody or bring people with them. Bring people to them. I mean, But so it was tough because it didn't stop my grieving process because I was out and I was, you know, meeting people, having fun, or going out with my friends, and we would meet guys while we were out. And so that didn't mean I wasn't still grieving. I still very much grieve. Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I kind of feel like I remember you is sometimes even saying you almost felt guilty.
I did.
For being, for having fun again.
Yeah, I did. I felt very guilty for having fun. I almost felt like I had to hide it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Especially from the people that were close to us, you know, that didn't get it.
Yeah.
You know, that didn't get it.
That recently, to your point about like how it looks for a woman in the grieving process, in the media, they were talking about Vanessa Bryant and the rumors about her supposedly being pregnant and all that she cleared up. But like some people like dogging her, about her moving on. And she has held, you know, Kobe's legacy in a high regard, really respected the loss. And, you know, she's going forward with her children. But she did not pass.
Right.
She still has to live her life.
And why would you not want that for her?
Right,
Why would you
And
not
I used
be
to always tell
happy
people we
for
didn't
someone?
choose it.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
We didn't.
It wasn't a divorce.
Right. We didn't do it.
It
to
wasn't
our
a
spouses. It
divorce.
was something that happened to them and to us.
Yeah.
So I just think women we get it. They give us a hard time.
Right.
It's only been 5 years. But men can, they at the funeral talking to the man like, hey, let me get you, what you need. You know?
Yeah.
So tell us about your experience.
My wife is correct. So much a double standard. For me, the grief was profound. It was just really heavy.
Yeah.
I recall my wife and I, Lisa at the time, were supposed to go to a Saints Falcons game, and she felt, discomfort in her abdomen. She literally had to go in and get her gallbladder removed.
Mm-hmm.
Successful surgery, came out of surgery. I went to see her. She was sleeping. A few hours later, her sister came to see her. They had a conversation. She went to sleep that evening and never woke up.
Wow.
So that was just totally unexpected. And so then we are burying Lisa. It was a beautiful service. And, I had my daughter next to me, Jandalyn. It's the first time that she ever had witnessed me being broken down or just, emotionally just a mess. And so I never forget Jandalyn taking the liberty to signal our pastor if she can get up and speak, and she eulogized her mom.
Wow, she's how old at that?
She was 12 years old.
Wow.
I boohooed like it was like it happened all over again.
Yeah.
Like it
Wow.
was.
And so,
and she didn't cry.
Yeah, she stood in the gap of Jandalyn and I were always together.
Mm-hmm.
And she took on this responsibility of, I have to be there for my dad.
Which is interesting, the opposite of you being strong, and she felt like she needed to be strong.
Very protective mode. But I tell people, even though Lisa was my wife, and this is the part that really gets me, I never forget coming home to the house and being there just with Lisa's mother, and to hear a parent wail out of pain. So I do not internalize my own loss, but my in-laws, people I've known since I was a teenager, and how they really have loved me and have really also kind of parent me.
Yeah.
So that was just hard, and still hard for me to deal with to this day, because I know that hole in a parent's heart cannot be filled. And I see what it has done to her father.
Wow.
As well as the impact that it's had on the dynamics of, her mom and our family relationships. We're very close. I love my in-laws. They're like mom and dad to me.
Right.
But outside of dealing with my own grief, we really did try, and we have done a good job turning Lisa's life into something more positive by establishing a foundation in her honor.
Oh, yeah.
For over the past 10 years, we've given out over $115,000 or $20,000 to help, educate kids, provide them scholarships. We're also investing in fitness and development. And I will say, because of this commonality that Jamila and I experienced, losing the loved one, not of no fault to our own,
right,
and seeing our kids come together, it just made it so seamless for us to naturally have a dialogue, build a friendship, and for me to fall in love.
Ooh, that was good.
Yeah. Wow.
And leading into that, and even in this, and talking about the loss, and they were both sudden. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't a illness, and not that helps. You know, but it's no preparation.
I often wonder though, what is easier,
Right?
And I almost think I shouldn't say easier because somebody would probably argue it, but you know, if you had to have a preference, what would it be? And I almost think it's if they're dying, you at least get time to like
to prepare,
and talk to your kids and say goodbye. But if it's sudden, it's just like, you know, and it's just like they dropped off the face of the earth.
And you're thrusted into this new
you almost
life.
don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they were just here yesterday.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
And I think a statement that you made previously, and it's unfortunate, you know, after the funeral, like life goes on. People mean well, but truly life goes on. Pastor always would, you know, say this, you really need to check on people after the funeral.
Yes.
After, right?
Yeah.
After
everybody goes home and back
because
to their...
it is different when
Like,
the funeral is like the business part of it. So
Yes.
everybody's working to get the business part situated. And then, you know, after that and everybody goes back home and the relatives are gone back and you just left with you in your house and quiet and you know, it's like, wow. Like,
was it a heavy emptiness?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't think I slept in our bedroom for 8 months and eventually just refurbished the entire bedroom. Couldn't.
Yeah. It's one of those situations that you can't avoid. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. You just have to go through it.
And I say that to people all the time. Like, you can avoid crying, you can hold it in, but it is going to hit you like a brick. And it's nothing you can do about it. You will feel it.
Yeah.
You know, you will feel it. You can't avoid it.
Yeah. It's best to try to feel your way through it and start to heal it. Because if you try to avoid it, it's going to happen anyway.
Right. Right.
And to Jamila's point, for men or from my experience, oh wow, the number of people who wanted to fix me up with someone, even people I wasn't expecting reaching out.
Oh, like people you knew?
Yeah, that was totally unexpected.
They was waiting in the wings.
Right?
Waiting in the wings.
I was green, but no, in all seriousness.
Very green. I was like, you know, she likes you.
When we talked about men, is over there.
I'm going to come over and plant some flowers for you and your daughter.
Wow.
Like,
and then she called back and she was like, so I wanted to, do you salsa? I was like, I told you. He was like, what? Never came back and played. She wanted to plant no flowers.
She want to plant herself into your life.
Yeah, she wanted to be the flower.
She was like, so listen, let me ask you something. Do you dance?
Hilarious. Yeah. They said, oh, he's a good catch.
I was so green. He played everything over the car.
I went underground for about a year. I really did. I really went underground for about a year.
Underground.
What does that mean? What does that even mean? What are you talking about?
Where was that? Where exactly?
I know
exactly.
I went
off the grid with your new girlfriend.
What you did? Get you a girlfriend.
That's right.
Boy, bye.
That's right.
Went underground.
Because we joke about it.
One foot in the street.
He was like, "Don't call me no more."
He shut it down.
You had one foot in the street and one foot where?
Yeah. He would love to say. He would love to think that.
What he say, Jamila? What you gonna do now? Because the DMs are popping.
He called me and asked when we were talking. He said, "So are we going to be exclusive?" I was like, I don't know. Wait a minute. We just started talking 4 days ago.
Oh, it was quick, baby.
I was like, I'll call you right back. I gotta call my friend. And she worked across the street. I was like, you gotta come over here. Oh my God. Listen, that little boy I was dating, I told him, don't ever call me.
Don't ever call me. I was like, this, so what you want
What
to
are you gonna do?
do?
I said, I'm gonna tell him, don't call me back.
Yeah.
Like, don't call me
Absolutely.
back. I was like, I got your little jacket in the car. I'm gonna drop it off over there.
I remember the
Don't call my name
jacket.
again.
I remember the jacket.
Yes, it'll be on your doorstep.
Listen, you can
No need to
pick it
come
up,
out.
or I'll just drop it off.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
if you want your little jacket,
that's right. Because what we're not doing is turning down this grown man on the other line. You hear me?
Yeah, right.
Told you the streets were hot.
Oh, Lord.
For sure.
Yeah, so that was us. I guess I was underground with Isaac. We went right on underground.
Right on together.
We together.
We are together, baby. Oh
All
my
right.
gosh, that's too funny.
So Isaac, I know the people were trying to set you up. And so how did you decide that you were ready to date again?
Wow. Well, I'm glad this is on film, so I want you all to be the judge of this.
Uh-oh.
No.
After Jamil and I had dinner, initially, as I said, I was meeting with people who had lost spouses. So just really trying to get an understanding of how to pick up the pieces and, continue life. Some individuals I met did have children, but they were older, but also trying to understand the dynamics of loss and also raising a child. So after Jamila and I had dinner, we had went to a restaurant, spent 3-4 hours just really talking about life, talking about families, talking about our children, talking about grief. Nothing romantic about the conversation ensued that evening. I always tell Jamila, sometimes women can feel, the energy or eyes of a man beating on them. And so I tell her, I say, I never forget going to the ballet, getting my ticket and feeling this searing set of eyes looking at me. And so I get
this is where the story goes left.
This is when the story gets shaky.
So I give the attendant my ticket, and I think her ticket, and she says,
I did not.
Oh, here we go.
I did not. I told him later that I thought he was tall, but I didn't tell you that night. I just like to make it up.
Look, his version, her version.
If that's her version,
somewhere in the middle is the truth.
The following day, she sends me a text message saying, she enjoyed her food, or sent me her leftovers, a picture of her leftovers, and said she enjoyed her food and the conversation. I said, okay, thank you. Didn't think anything about it. Mm-hmm. So Monday, that was Sunday. So Monday, our girls dance. I'm on my way to drop off Jandalyn for dance. And I always go to the gym.
We go to the same gym.
Okay. So on my way of dropping off Jandalyn, she sends me a text saying,
are you going to the gym today? If so, can I ride with you? Because I wasn't going to the gym because I wasn't willing to drop my kid off, get back in traffic, go to the gym, and then come back. But as we know, Isaac he's a busybody.
So that's 2 initiated text messages.
So
my routine, I was going to change my routine because I dropped Jandalyn off. Yeah. And, I'm a white collar worker. And so I had my suit on and tie, and I changed. And I was like, listen.
He's taking his clothes off while I'm in the car with him.
Yeah, on 285. So I'm changing because I, don't have time.
Let me show what I'm working with.
My pecs up in the gym.
Yeah. Let me close this deal.
I was like, is he taking his clothes off? Oh my God.
So we ended up going to the gym together and come back and pick up the girls. Never forget, we sit in the parking lot and we have probably a 90-minute conversation. Hey, the kids got to get ready for school. Let's continue the conversation when we get to our respective homes. We text from probably 10:30 till 5:36 in the morning.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Just, having a text conversation.
Yeah.
Tuesday, same routine, drop off Jandalyn at dance. We have a conversation from 10 a.m. to 6 in the morning. I told her after a few text messages, hey, I'm getting carpal tunnel syndrome.
Right.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
So that was Tuesday to Wednesday. So then from Wednesday to Thursday.
He said we go together.
Real bad.
Same situation.
He was like, hey, remember me? Yesterday we talked all night. We go together, okay?
We have a conversation, kid you not, all night long. And so I asked her, like, what are we doing? Because I was honestly at the time feeling very comfortable with letting Jamila know I have feelings for you at this point.
I mean, after all, y'all had spent like 3 nights together, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, basically.
Right.
We it felt like we slept over 3 nights.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so it more kind of happened. It wasn't intentional.
No, it wasn't intentional. And so I told her, I had some noise going on, and she had a situation. I think that's when I subsequently met you, Nikki, because I told Jamila, like, are we trying? Like, I didn't know what dating was. People say they're dating. Is that exclusive? Or are we dating all?
Man, he been married all his life.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, no, dating is dating.
No, I just
you can call it, you can do whatever. You can date several people, you can date one person.
I just
you determine
what. Did you want to be one of many, or did you want to be exclusive? So I just want to
let me know, because they lining up.
Yeah, they beating the door down to get at me.
I'm not saying that, but there were choices. So
I like that.
I was
there
like,
were choices.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'll call you right back.
Put the pressure on.
He was like, before we go any further, are you trying to lock me down?
Right.
Or
Nikki was like, so what did you say? I was like, I told him, yeah.
It's like, oh my God. Yeah, I hurried up and got across the street.
The first person that Jamila, I think, told and had introduced me to. I, informed my brother. And shortly after choosing Jamila, because I wanted it to be known, this is kind of embarrassing, but I did approach my in-laws.
okay.
I wanted to have a conversation. I said, Jamila, come on, let's go talk to my in-laws. They love you, They, because at the time, everyone wanted to, kind of fix you and like, hey, we don't want you depressed. We don't want you, despondent or what have you. You gotta open your heart. It was
he didn't read the room.
He didn't read the room.
So,
but then I'm sure everybody still, not to cut you off, were trying to do what they can to help you too, because now you're a single father.
Yeah.
Which is,
with
as
a daughter.
Women,
Not a son.
It's a different.
Yeah.
People look at it different.
Yeah.
You're a father. You need
with a
that
girl.
needs a mother,
Exactly. Yeah.
Or needs a woman around.
They were like, me.
Yeah.
But
pick me.
That's hilarious.
I was a very involved dad. So I honestly didn't feel, I honestly truly didn't feel the need to fill that void. Whatever my daughter wanted. Because as a father, I used to despise and always correct people when my daughter was young, when they would reference, like, are you babysitting? Oh, no, I'm taking care of my child.
Exactly.
The only
I never
thing that
liked
I tell
either.
people I can't do is give birth and breastfeed. Anything else,
I know that's right.
Right.
Come on, Dad.
That.
Come on,
I
Dad.
love that.
But it was relatively soon. I was naive to think that everyone would embrace my truth or our truth and the happiness of, the person that I found in my life. I will say this unequivocally. my in-laws, my mother and father-in-law, my brother and sister-in-law love Jamila. They completely are happy for us.
Mm-hmm.
They just weren't ready.
Yeah, when
They just weren't ready.
initially.
And I get it. I get it. They just weren't ready. I mean,
So did you bring Jamila
my mother was like, "Girl, you better not."
at the initial?
Yeah,
Yes.
I was like,
Oh, he wanted to.
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go with Isaac to meet Lisa's parents. She was like, are you crazy? She was like, girl, you better not go there. That is none of your business. Okay,
Let
He
him
needs to
talk to them
alone.
first. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good, I think.
Oh, you was going to show up on their doorstep?
No, they were still staying with
They were
us.
here.
They were still here.
Gotcha.
So when I say it was soon, we became official probably around 8 weeks after
Mm-hmm.
passed.
Yeah.
From those text conversations and like, hey, do we go together?
Right.
So yeah.
Now, how did you feel about that, Jamila? Like, because your process was longer.
Yeah. I just would always ask him, was he sure?
Okay.
You know, I mean, always like, are you sure? You know, but I also felt like he's been married for so long. I think that was a natural thing for him to have someone else. But I think we grieved together. Like I was able to help Isaac through his grief because I had already experienced it.
Yeah.
So I think it was that part of building that friendship and that like safe space because he was still grieving. Yeah. For a while, you know. And I understood that. I understood, you know, we're not taking pictures down. We're not erasing this person. It'll naturally just happen. And
yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad you said that because that was something, you know, we want to know how do you still, you know,
honor the legacy.
I mean, we had at one point we had
embracing a
room that we were gonna do, and we were gonna do like just have Lisa and Pookie stuff in that room, and we were gonna sell a house one day, and we ended up taking all the you have to take the pictures down for people to come take pictures, so we never really put them back up. But I kept my stuff up in my house with Pookie and I forever until I sold my house. And I sold my house a year after us.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we decided we were engaged.
Yeah. And Isaac I would be over there and he would have Lisa's pictures up. And so it was just a part of it. And I didn't feel any kind of way.
And that's what made it so special too, because I feel like only a person who had also could have the understanding.
Because it almost feels like you must still be in love with that person. But you really are.
Right.
Yeah, you really are, and you really always will be. You know, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's part of the journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and as I previously stated, I was naive thinking that, you know, I wanted to share my truth in terms of with definitely Lisa's parents that, hey, I found someone. Don't want you to think anything was going on.
Sneaking.
There was no pretense of us ever liking each other, really intimately. Intimately having
each other ever. Yeah. So and then I ended up. I think the harder part was for me was I sold my house and moved into the house that Lisa and Isaac had previously shared together. And Isaac asked me to do that because you want to keep your child's life as normal as possible. And that was the house that Jandalyn had been in and had grown up in. And Isaac would always say, when the kids graduate, you can get your own house. You know, we'll move. And I didn't mind doing it, but I think we have.
But I did let you buy your own house. That was her reward. She did get her own house.
But the journey through it was, I mean, there have been times when I did feel away and didn't even realize I felt away because there were times where I didn't feel like he's acting like it's not my house, even though we did everything different.
Yeah,
we did every room different. We did the basement different. It was just something that was, if he did something small, and I would be like, because this is his house anyway, it's not my house, you know. And so we didn't talk about that until this year.
Oh wow!
And we've been together long time.
Because I didn't move a picture.
He moved some art, and I didn't like it. I wanted him to move it like it was too big to go where it was going, and he just kept moving it in places where it didn't fit.
Gotcha.
And so your mom came over and was like,
Yes.
that picture's too big. And I was like, exactly. And so when he moved it again, he moved it somewhere else where it didn't fit. And so instead of me saying how I felt, I said,
I'm working, you come bust into the office. And
what did I say? I mean, so it was a little like passive aggressive.
Okay.
And it was kind of like, well, it's your house anyway, you know. And he was like,
oh, you actually said that?
Yeah.
And I had just like gotten the living room design the way I got. So he was really pissed. Like, are you serious?
Right.
Like, I just did all this stuff to the house. So it was really about my feelings. And I didn't realize until we went to marriage chats and talked about it in marriage chats, I didn't realize
where it was coming from.
Where it came from. Yeah. I didn't even realize that it bothered me. Or maybe I realized it bothered me, but I didn't understand why. Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't understand why. But I think why, because I felt like he does this thing too where he doesn't want pictures in the house, and I'm a picture person. So that always rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, it's my house too. I should be able to put up pictures, you know, where I want to when I, you know, so those kind of things were like, because it's your house, you know. This is your house. You know.
Perspective. We got pictures out there.
Oh, nice. Compromise.
No, they've been there, but that's the experience.
Yeah, it was just in one part of the house he didn't want pictures.
Oh, got you.
But no, it was quite easy for me to choose Jamila for me to fall in love with her. I will tell you, throughout our courtship, it was always respectfully Jandala first. And for someone to be that selfless, even though, you know, we're dating, her primary focus was Jandala. And, you know, I had to be very attentive to what she was going through, because she really wasn't expressive of Jandala, you know, Jandala, that is, of her own grief. Because I would say, no, she's good. You know, she's good. And so it took me until probably her freshman year of college to really understand how she really suppressed a lot of her grief.
Yeah.
In hindsight, we got together too fast. I think they should have grieved together alone. You know what I mean? But I think when you're in it, it feels like it just felt like it was supposed to be that way. Yeah. And we felt like, oh, we can help. And I thought I could help her through her grieving, but I think in her internalizing it, she, you know, kind of closed me off as well as him, because she felt like, I think she really just needed him. I really think she just needed her dad. And I think dads a lot of times don't know how to do that. Yeah. Because they're trying to be strong for their child.
Right. And still trying to be the provider.
And so they don't know how to get down and be vulnerable and cry together. And, you know, it's not natural.
Yeah, but I told you it was so confusing, because you said you were just the plus one, but she and Maya, as I previously mentioned, had this relationship, and it was always them being together. Right. And Jamila was kind of like the bonus person in the relationship. I say this jokingly, but you know, you can chime in on this and give your perspective, Jamila. But I think if Jandalyn had it her way, it was going to be.
She would have taken mine without me.
She
was like, "Give me your kid. You go on. Get out of here.
I don't need her." Just, Well, that's so wonderful. And we love y'all. Hope you can all see why we love them. Yes. And they have so much knowledge and experience to share that we want to roll this over into a part 2. So we thank you, Jamila and Isaac, for being our first guests, for sharing your experience and your life with us. And we're going to come back with part 2. and get more into the love story in their marriage now,
Yeah.
and hopefully some helpful tips to married people, those wanting to be married, just to give us some insight. It's how you make it work and look so good.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. Thank you for having us.
Yes.